What's up YouTube, my name is Turtle and welcome to Fantendo Roast. It's December, a time for celebration, relaxation, and obligatory Christmas specials. But I don't feel like talking about Christmas. I've somehow managed to complete the Alolan Pokedex and I've been drawing countless fake Pokemon in Art Academy. I don't want to talk about Christmas, I want to talk about Pokemon. So with that out of the way, let's talk about trading card games. Trading card games have always sort of been around for me, but it never really ended up being a major part of my childhood like video games have been. As a kid, I was really interested in Yu-Gi-Oh! And when I say as a kid, I mean I was still playing it throughout high school. My deck sucked. I also kinda liked the Pokemon trading card game, but I didn't really have anyone to play it with. I still have some of the cards though. More recently I've gotten interested in Fire Emblem Cypher, which is only available in Japan. I'd be more angry if it weren't for the fact that Nintendo's already taking enough of my money as it is. So with my passing interest in trading card games, I figured I'd go and have a look-see if Fantendo had anything to offer. And that's where I hit my first snag. See, I was looking for something kinda original, so I immediately tossed the Pokemon TCG pages out the window, and then the three left that were based on pre-established franchises, I can't roast them. They're too good. They've clearly had a lot of effort poured into them, from rules to card sets, and there's nothing that really jumps out at me as bad that I can pick apart and make funny joke about. I even commented on one of them with a thumbs up emoji. But don't you worry, I did my digging. I would not rest until I found a trading card game to talk about. And find one I did. Today, we'll be taking a look at AR Battle Tournament. Remember AR cards? Me neither. They were kind of a cool concept, but they weren't really used that much. And the 3DS camera kinda sucks. Mr. AR for Smash Bros. 5. Well, this person's apparently tried to make a trading card game out of AR cards. I mean, that's probably the best use for them. In theory. Why haven't they done that with Amiibo cards yet? Apparently it's a free downloadable game on the 3DS, but you still have to buy the cards with real money. The 3DS game isn't actually required to play the card game, but it, enhances the experience through AR technology. Yeah, I don't know about that. Don't get me wrong, AR tech is kind of a cool concept, but in practice it's not all that great. I mean, Face Raiders could easily have not been an AR game, and it probably would have had the same effect. That's neither here nor there. Instead of debating whether it's a good idea to try and use AR cards in July 2013, we should take a look at how the game is played, and what AR actually does for the game. Who knows, maybe this dude will convince me. So to start with, each player has a deck of 20 to 60 cards, 10 HP, and 3 cards in their hand. Maybe I'm just too used to things like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, but a minimum deck size of 20 and a starting hand of 3 seems very small to me. Like, not enough to actually do things with small. As per the usual, players start the turn by drawing a card. Then they can play a card in one of their 8 slots and rotate what side is in front. I think you skipped a few steps in the instructions there, matey. Actually, he just stuck things in the wrong order, because he explains what he means by slots and sides in the sentence after explaining what you do in your turn. You know, where it was necessary to know what slots and sides are. Each players have 8 slots arranged in a square with 3 on each side, with the corners being shared between sides. Each side has a color: red, green, blue, and yellow. Because when you need 4 colors, those are the colors you use. The card in the middle spot, I thought we were calling them slots. Oh, okay. The card in the middle spot of each side stops the player from getting attacked directly. Attacking! Another thing that isn't explained until further down the page. First, we get summoning explained to us. All cards require summon points, indicated by a number at the bottom corner of the card. I'm deliberately not showing you the cards because the page doesn't show them until further down, and also I want to critique them separately from the rules. In the meantime, enjoy this thing I drew with my laptop's touchpad that is deliberately terrible for comedic effect, but was never actually funny. There are 5 different colors of summon energy: Rugby and Grey, and each player starts with 5 of each. The coloured ones have to be used for cards of that colour, and the grey ones can be used for anything so long as you use at least one of the appropriate coloured energy. You get one of each at the start of each turn besides your first one, and when you destroy your opponent's cards, in a way that still has not been explained, you earn half the cost of that card. This seems a bit excessive. Unless these cards are really costly, like all of them, it seems like you're giving us way too many summon points with too few cards to actually use them for. But regardless, we now find out about attacking and destroying and such. Players can't attack within the first 3 turns, and cards can't attack within the turn they're played. Now the second one I can understand, but 3 turns without attacking? I know some card games don't allow the player who starts to attack during their first turn, to allow the second player a chance to actually set up without being attacked unfairly, but 3 turns seems really excessive, especially considering you only start with 3 cards. Only cards on the front side can be attacked, and damage is calculated by subtracting the number on their card in the colour of your side from the number of that colour on your card. Okay. You know what this sounds like? Chocobo Tales. I love that game, but it had like the most simplistic card game ever with pop-up duels. And somehow this dude took an aspect of that and made it really complex. Like, is anyone else having trouble following this? Maybe I'm just an idiot, very possible, but it seems like it's worded in a very confusing way. Maybe it'd be easier to understand if there were some images to accompany the rules, like a card or a playmat or something. Regardless, after any damage modifiers with card effects have been applied, the damage is applied to the card. Once their HP hits 0, it is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. If a player has no card in the middle position, okay, not slots, not spots, they're positions now. If you're gonna be confusing, at least be consistent. If a player has no cards in the middle slot on their front side, they can be attacked directly, subtracting from their HP. The first player to hit 0 HP loses. Really? Really now? Okay, the number of cards in the deck and the starting hand made me think this was a game that's supposed to be played really fast, so it doesn't really matter that you start out with so few cards. Well, apparently not, because you can't attack during the first 3 turns, and trying to lower your opponent's HP is like trying to, I don't know, something that's very hard to do. I know you could technically have 3 cards on one side, all piling damage onto the middle card, but with how many summoning points you start with and gain each turn, it's not going to take too long for it to be replaced. Even if your opponent can't replace it, they can switch to another side where they've already got another card ready and waiting. Why can you only damage the player by attacking directly, when it's so incredibly hard to do so? The only way I see this working out is if all cards are so frail that they die in 1 or 2 hits, allowing you to actually get an attack in on the player. Otherwise, it turns a high-action card game into a slow, boring slogfest. Think of it this way. Yu-Gi-Oh! Had players lose life points if a card in attack mode was destroyed. Or, if they were attacked directly. The Pokemon trading card game had players draw a prize card when defeating one of your opponent's Pokemon. Fire Emblem Cypher has you draw an orb when your main character would be defeated in battle, and your main character is always on the field open to be attacked. AR Battle Tournament hides the only way of taking damage behind roughly 4 layers of defense that can easily be replaced. Who would think that's a good idea? Who would want to play this slow and boring ass card game? I haven't even gotten to the end of the rules yet, Jesus Pringles. Rounding, I don't care. After searching through the deck, shuffle. Good, you understand at least some of the basics of card games. When a player runs out of cards in their deck, they skip their drawing phase and continue as normal, but if they run out of cards altogether, they immediately lose because they can't do anything. Yeah, I get the feeling that running out of cards is gonna happen sooner than dropping to 0 HP in more cases than not. Gaining points apparently refers to adding to the numbers within the circles on the card. Okay, the cards have circles now. Cards have circles with points. Players have summon points, which effects can also give you. Genius naming scheme, not at all confusing. Do you have any idea of how to play this game yet? I just read 4 paragraphs on it, and I'm pretty sure I know as much about it as I did before I read it. Alright, we have one little paragraph about the AR capabilities, and then we can get on to the actual cards. Like with most card games, people playing AR Battle Tournament can opt to use a game mat with squares set out for the cards. But this mat also has a spot for the 3DS. When using the 3DS game, the camera will scan which cards are being played and when, and make sure it's within the rules. And using AR technology, it will display images of the characters standing on top of their respective cards, including animations for attacking and being destroyed. Allow me to explain why this would not work. Have you tried to play AR games on the 3DS? In order for it to recognize the cards, it generally needs to be at a specific distance and a specific angle. Placing the 3DS and the card on a desk together is not going to fill either of those requirements. The 3DS camera will not be able to recognize the cards at that sharp an angle, and even if it did, the 3DS screen doesn't click into position until it's at an almost 80-degree angle. Which means that if you have the screen at, let's say, a 90-degree angle so it can see the cards, any little bump could cause the 3DS to close or the screen to fall down into its natural 80-degree position. And I'd bet you're going to be bumping the 3DS a lot as you reach around to play your cards in front of it. Maybe my 3DS screen's just sort of loose from owning it for however many years the 3DS has been out for, but I just don't see this working. Maybe if there was some sort of pedestal to put it on so it would have the right height and angle to see the cards properly, it might work, but there's no mention of anything like that. So that's strike 2 of 3. Let's take a look at the cards. We'll start with first party and, they're squares. They're squares! Square trading cards! Who in their right mind would think this is a good idea? On top of that, they look like they were made in MS Paint. The flat colors, big black outlines, and white corners. Couldn't even make it transparent. At least the artwork of the card is good, right? Except it's literally just the Mario Galaxy 2 box art. Anyway, as I feared, it would seem that the cards do indeed have way too much HP and do too little damage. And at a cost of 4 red/grey energy, it'll take a maximum of 2 turns to have enough energy to play this Mario. So all those things where I was like, maybe if the cards were like this, it could work. Throw all that out the window because the cards aren't like that. Alright, we've got 20 first-party cards and 5 third-party cards. According to the rules, that's enough to make a deck with, although personally I don't think that's enough to play with. Regardless, I suppose we might as well take a look at the cards and see what sort of effects they have. I'm not a card game expert, but I can do my best to judge how useful or fair these effects are. Starting with Mario. His attack is doubled while he has full health. So you play him on your red side and rotate him in when there's a gap in your opponent's defenses. Boom! Almost instant win. Definitely fair and balanced for a card that only costs 4 points to play. Summon points, sorry. Next is Luigi. He does double damage on the yellow side to everything other than green cards. Except that effect is worthless because Luigi only has 1 point in yellow and 5 points in green. So why would you play him on your yellow side instead of your green side? Judging by the arrangement of the colours, which is totally stolen from Chocobo Tales by the way, it seems that green and yellow don't even share a corner. So there's no reason why Luigi should be in yellow. Why is he the same cost as Mario? Blue Toad, that character everyone loves. It's basically an exact copy of Mario's effect, except he costs 1 point less, and he has to be on blue for the effect to work. Except why would he ever not be on blue? I mean, I guess you could play him on the blue-yellow corner, but still, blue is his highest stat. Paper Mario, he gains 1 HP every time he destroys a card. Stall tactics, yeah! Considering how little damage these cards can do once you subtract one card's number from the other card's number, this is a very useful effect to have, and it's only gonna cost you 3 points. Shadow Mario, cause we didn't have enough Marios yet. He does double damage to blue and green cards, which is pretty useful, considering his highest stat is blue, and he's gonna need all the help he can get to go up against other blue cards. He's also worth 4 points, summon points, which I guess is supposed to be a high cost for this game, considering both Mario and Luigi were 4 cost cards, but it's really not because you can accumulate that much in 2 turns. Finally, off of the Mario stuff, we have Link. He can attack the turn it was played, although I assume that doesn't include him being played during the 3-turn ceasefire at the start of the game. It seems pretty simple, but he's also the tankiest card we've seen so far at 20 HP, and can be effectively played on both green and yellow. And it only takes 2 turns for you to be able to play him. I should shut up about that because I've already repeated myself a whole bunch. But that's one of the things that makes these cards so unbalanced. You can push them out so quickly. Kirby! He gains the ability of the last card he destroyed. Cool beans. Even though he has the second most HP out of all the cards we've seen so far, he's only a cost 3. Which in practice doesn't make much difference because, worst case scenario, a cost 3 is going to take the same amount of time to play as a cost 4. Prince Fluff. Oh, okay. He gives you an extra grey summon point when he destroys a card. But he's only a cost 2. I guess because he gets absolutely destroyed if your opponent attacks with their red or green side. On to the Pokemon! Pikachu! He does double damage to blue cards, but that doesn't really matter because he's got a whole whopping 6 points in yellow and can destroy everything without any special boosts. He's also only a cost 3. This is ridiculous. Snivy! Because Snivy's important, right, Smash Bros. Crusade? Snivy's a weaker link, end of story. Don't let it get attacked by red things. Pikmin! There's 5 Pikmin cards. What? Olimar here lets all your Pikmin do double damage. Maybe this is nitpicking, but I feel like that should be cards with Pikmin in their name. It's not like Pikmin cards have some special way of indicating that they are Pikmin. Louis recovers 2 HP whenever he or a Pikmin destroys a card. That is a better effect than Paper Mario, both due to gaining 2 HP instead of 1, and because you can have the Pikmin do it for you. But for some reason Louis is the same cost as Paper Mario. This person doesn't know what balancing is. Blue Pikmin takes half damage from blue cards, except it's already going to be taking barely any damage from blue because it has 3 in that circle, so why would anyone attack it with a blue card? That effect is worthless. White Pikmin, frail as frick when it comes to red and HP, but it can be played after only 1 turn of waiting, and cards that attack it take 1 turn of damage. That's kinda cool, and I'd almost be ready to call it sorta balanced if it weren't for the fact that it's amongst the top percentage of green attackers. Water Wraith can only be damaged by blue cards, and it has an 8 in its blue circle. You're not going to be damaging this thing at all unless you play some blue cards on your yellow or green sides. And since it's so powerful, and has 20 HP, it naturally costs more than any other card. Which means it now takes 3 turns before you can play it. In a game like this, that's basically not a problem at all. Villager from Animal Crossing. Draw a card whenever he's attacked. I don't know what that's referencing. Tom Nook. Whenever he destroys a card, search your deck for a yellow card and add it to your hand. Basically, the Animal Crossing cards are focused around whittling down your small-ass deck as quickly as possible. Wii Fit Trainer. Okay. All active cards, which I assume means cards in the front row, take 1 less damage while she is on the field. Oh goody! More stalling tactics. Marshall from Rhythm Heaven. He gains 3 HP every time a card attacks a card of the same color. And he's only a cost 2. Banned. Banned. Karate Joe. He gets stronger every time he destroys a card. Sure, whatever. By this game's standard, he's practically underpowered. Third party! Mega Man! He's like Kirby, except instead of keeping the most recent effect, he can use any effect of a card he's destroyed, but he can only have 1 at a time. Good luck keeping track of that. Bomberman! Hurts himself when he attacks a red card, and he gets absolutely destroyed on green and blue. Is this really a cost 4 card? I mean, if the game was balanced properly, then yeah, it might be a cost 4 card, but is this dude really 2 steps above, say, Marshall? Rallon from Spectrobes. You remember that game? I don't. Every time you draw a card outside of your draw phase, add a point to one of his colors. Basically, if you're running an Animal Crossing deck, it might be a good idea to add Rallon into the mix. Then we have hello, MS Paint. Apparently the creator of the page has thrown in some of their own creations, but with the quality of the artwork, you could barely even tell. Blake Canvas, he can change the color of cards he attacks, which works very well in tandem with Magnetron, who can't be damaged by yellow cards. Basically, make all your opponent's cards yellow, and with Magnetron's 7 yellow stat, you win the game. This person definitely has zero bias when making cards for their own characters. Now, I should probably cut the crap and just fess up to what I'm sure most of you have already figured out by now, if you've bothered to take a look around Fantendo and tried to sleuth me out. The person who made this page is me. I am Zodiac Productions, or rather I'm the founder of it. I made its terrible MS Paint logo. And you know what? I'm not afraid to say this page sucks, because it does. But the story doesn't have to end there. I may have left Fantendo, but that doesn't mean I've stopped coming up with my own ideas for games I'd make if I had the skills and effort and licensing. Remember that top 6 list at the end of the last video? Yeah, ignore the top one, that's something else, but on that list is my ideas for a Fire Emblem game, a creature collecting game like Pokemon, a fighting game, a collectathon, and wouldn't you know it, I've been working on a trading card game too, although that one's gone to the back burner as I try to work on videos and writing and drawing. The point of that wasn't to show off my immense creativity, because that doesn't exist. The point is that practice makes perfect. I may pick apart these pages, but that's not because I want to see you suffer. It's comedy, with inverted commas around it. The whole point of constructive criticism is to find out what works and what doesn't, to learn your shortcomings and work to improve them. All those well-known game designers out there didn't get where they are overnight. It takes time. But I urge all of you who might have an interest in this sort of thing to keep working at it. Who knows? Maybe one day, instead of making crappy pages on the Fantendo wiki, you'll be making good pages on the Fantendo wiki. So yeah, this dumb video roasting one of my old pages and that preachy as heck motivational speech at the end are my Christmas gifts to you. But it seems one of you might have gotten me a Christmas gift too. Much love to Flamingo Phoenix Feather on Fantendo, who made this sweet fan art of me and the Squirtle. He used to be called Cancer Squirtle, but I don't think that really sounds good anymore. I mean, my name doesn't sound good either, but I've already branded myself as that throughout the internet. Anyway, I love it. It's great. 2 thumbs way up. It still kind of blows my mind that I actually have fans. I've really got to thank you guys for all the support you've shown this year. I know I haven't been very consistent in my uploading, but thanks for sticking around. Or for giving me a chance, in the case of people who discovered me after I made this series. Fingers crossed I'll be more consistent in 2017. Someone might have to take a whip to my ass to get me into gear. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a trip to go pack for. So until next we meet, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and have a good life. And don't let your memes be dreams! I am so late with this joke.